Are you tired of the mainstream media lying to you every single day? You are not alone. Millions of other Americans are sick of the corporate media fake news of the MSNBC, CNN, ABC, NBC, New York Times, other Times, Washington Post, Political. Every single one of them are in the bag for the Democrats. They are all Team DNC. But now you have another option in independent creators like here on the Cash Loren Show. Well, we will go and we will expose the deep state, these unelected bureaucrats, and the mainstream media, along with the Democrats and their friends in the Rhino Uniparty, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Get the facts on the Cash Loren Show. I am your host, America's Truth Teller, shining a bright red light on the corruption and the hoaxes from the mainstream media and the Democrat Party. You're not going to want to miss a single moment. Join the American First Movement Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. This is the Cash Loren Show. Well, everybody, welcome back to another day here on the Cash Loren Show. I appreciate everybody for stepping in. We have more of the Democrats losing their minds as they continue to get caught and busted, as this Autopen story just won't go away as badly as they wanted to, as they're trying very hard to blame Trump for everything and distract you, the American voters, from everything that the Democrats have screwed up for decades, and especially over the last 4 years with the Joe Biden's administration. This hoax has gotten so insane that now that the Autopen story is continuing to get worse, if you've heard of this, is that essentially the Autopen itself is not the story. All an Autopen is it just signs documents for you. So you use it for books or for other documents or whatever. This being that these executive orders and other things that Joe Biden allegedly signed, such as the more that's coming out, as is with all the climate activism. Apparently, Joe Biden, as some whistleblowers have said, had absolutely no idea of what was even on those documents or that he even signed in the first place. And this is a huge, this makes Watergate looks like absolutely nothing. That, they're the executive authority that is exclusive only to the president of the United States of America, not to his staff, not to Congress, not to House representatives, not to the Senate, to nobody but the president themselves. When they sign their name to a piece of paper, that is giving permission for what you, the American people, voted for. Whether you agree with them or not, they had enough votes to get into office. So we went through the last 4 years, but this is so much worse because Joe Biden apparently didn't know or didn't even sign about any of this. And as the Democrats desperately want this all to go away, it continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger as more and more about this is going out. And hopefully the Republicans, they actually grow a pair and they finally start to actually fight back. I'd like to see a lot more. I don't know about you, but more than angry letters. Because people over this need to go to prison. The amount of damage that they did to this country in just the last 4 years, and you find out that the president wasn't even aware of it. Now everything makes a lot more sense as Joe Biden be wandering around lost as they try to keep him away from the press. And so the question we come into a lot is then, well, if Joe Biden, if he wasn't the president and he wasn't controlling the Autopen, if he wasn't signing all these executive orders, then who was? And there's many different opinions on that as we go through. A lot say that his White House staff, Elizabeth Warren's name is being brought up. But here is one that hasn't been mentioned once or very little, and it wasn't until Project Veritas broke this story. We're going to play that clip here in just a second, but it's amazing to me that people keep going out on these dates and then telling all this stuff to these random strangers. And then this time they did it with David Hogg, who just got kicked out of the DNC after he threatened to use $20 million to primary these older these older Democrats. And now he gets busted on film, Project Veritas, and listen to what he had to say, because this, I think, will surprise many people, the names that he brought up.
Nice to meet you, yeah.
Off the record, of course.
foundational question for me is like, how corrupt is the DNC if so many people knew, or few people knew about Biden, well, the president of the United States?
I mean, I think the fact of the matter is the DNC is always going to be like a campaign arm of the president, ultimately. The bigger issue is like the inner circle that was around Biden.
Okay, so he's actually bringing on to something that's very important here. Is that was a huge problem. I think we're just starting to find out how bad it is. I mean, we're White House staff just deciding one day that, hey, you know what? I'm going to be president today. I'm going to walk up to the office. Here's an executive order, sign it, boom, out the door. Okay, that should be prison. What about senators? There's now being alleged that like Elizabeth Warren, that she was behind the January 6th signatures, and Biden had nothing to do with it. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but if it is, then these Democrats need to find out they're above the law. No more. That they are going to pay the price for everything they did. And the name that he brings up here is, you can see how scared David Hogg is, and it's not who you would suspect.
That's it. And I can't stress to you enough. Like Joe Biden's chief of staff, like had an enormous amount of power.
Joe Biden?
Joe Biden's chief of staff.
That was like,
All right, so not Joe Biden's chief of staff. Is that sounds as in, no, this is Jill Biden's chief of staff. And we're all, is Biden doing anything? You remember towards the end of Biden's presidency when Jill Biden was starting to set the head of the table? And she wasn't even in the government. And she was starting to run meetings. It was going, what are you doing? You're just the wife. You're not elected in any office. What are you doing running Joe Biden's his cabinet? And had Joe Biden sitting all the way over the edge of the table, just letting Jill Biden run these. Do you remember when those were coming out and the fake news was still pretending that there was nothing happening? Well, this is her chief of staff that he is terrified of.
an open secret at the level. Like, I would avoid him. Like, he was scary.
What was his name?
Anthony Trump.
I've never seen him.
Exactly.
What do you mean?
He's like a shadowy, like, Wizard of Oz type figure. That's what made him so, like, I knew how he looked, but I'm like, the general public wouldn't know how this man looked. But he wielded an enormous amount of power, and I can't stress to you how much power he had at the White House.
Yeah, the deep state is far more terrifying than people realize. Even for someone like David Hogg, who is a little beta boy for sure, the look of terror on his face when he starts to see this side of our government is the side that you're not really ever supposed to see. Because in reality, your elected officials don't run the government. And they have given their power away to the deep state because they don't want the responsibility. See, for them, they can get kicked out of office. They can lose elections. So for them, this is great. They just go to Washington, D.C., and then it's actually the deep state, all these unelected bureaucrats that they go and they make all the regulations, they make all the rules, and then they write all the laws, and they sign. When you get these huge omnibuses and these huge CRs that go through Congress, that they're $1 trillion, $2 trillion, $3 trillion. These senators have never read them. I mean, how often did you hear Nancy Pelosi say, well, before us can even sign this into law, we have to do that before we even know what's in it. And if you want to see the swamp, if you want to see the deep state, this is it. This is what you're witnessing right now. This is the Biden administration. It is the most corrupt administration that our government has ever seen. And it was a complete and utter facade. As they were trying to lie to you this whole time that Joe Biden was the president. I don't know if Joe Biden did a single thing in his 4 years that either somebody else did for him or he was told to do. Hey, everything's starting to make more sense now, isn't it? When he would wander around lost, he didn't even know how to get off stage. Or when they had to put him in front of the press, he would have a card in front of him of who he's supposed to call on, and they would have the questions and they would have the answers. And he would say some weird stuff like, well, I'm only supposed to call on these people. You're the president. And one of the funniest things I think I ever saw was when Joe Biden, when he had to March, this was at Easter, and he tried to go over to the press corps. You remember the trans Easter bunny had to cut him off and start waving their hands and then direct him, you're not allowed to talk to the press? The sitting president of the United States. Or when he is at his own party and Barack Obama comes and everybody is just salivating over Barack Hussein Obama, and Joe Biden reaches his hand on Obama, hey, Barack. And Barack Obama knows Joe Biden's there. Barack Obama knew that Joe Biden was trying to get his attention. And Barack Hussein Obama just ignored him and walked away from Joe Biden like he wasn't even there. The sitting president of the United States of America at the time. And in that very same party, you had Joe Biden walking in the walls and looking lost. And now we're finding out that he had cancer, that he may have had dementia, and he may have had who knows how many other problems going on. I mean, did he make a single decision in this entire presidency? This is the biggest scandal of our lives. And it's going to continue to get worse as it goes to find out that the Biden staff, when they still thought that Joe Biden was going to win, that they just decided, you know what, we're already running the White House. So all we really need to do is for Joe Biden just to walk in front of the cameras every once in a while and then let the adults take over, right? Let the adults be in charge, meaning not Joe Biden, not the president of the United States. No, these unelected White House staffers that no one had ever chosen to be in the office, that they're deciding that they're just going to go and they're going to play president.
Thompson this weekend on Fox News. In the book, you quote a longtime Biden aide basically admitting he shouldn't be running again. They said to you on page 85, he just had to win, and then he could disappear for 4 years. He'd only have to show proof of life every once in a while. His aides could pick up the slack. Who would have been running the White House in a second Biden term?
Well, this person went on to say that when you're voting for a president, you're voting for the aides around him. But these aides were not even Senate confirmed aides. These are White House aides. These were unelected people. And one of the things that really, I think, comes out in our reporting here is that if you believe, and I think a lot of these people do sincerely believe that Donald Trump was and is an existential threat to democracy, you can rationalize anything, including sometimes doing undemocratic things, which I think is what this person is talking about.
Folks, I can't tell you how right they are. And we got a comment here from, I think this happened in the House of Dragons, meaning the HBO series based on A Song of Ice and Fire. And you let me know exactly what you're referring to, because I'm trying to think of that part. But we go in, and I can't stress enough just how right he is. That this is the way the deep state looks at our federal government. You see, they think that they are right. They think they are smart. And they think they are your betters. They don't want the president running the United States any more than they want anybody else in Congress running the states. I mean, this is the permanent establishment. This is the swamp of Washington, D.C. You saw it more under Biden's administration than you have at any other time in U.S. history. And these people, you have no idea who they are. You don't know their names. They've never ran for an office. They've never pitched to any of you why they should have the authority to rule over you. But that's exactly how they think. And for the Senate and for the House, this is great for them, right? Because they don't take any responsibility in risk being elected out of office. Is there any problems that come up? They just go, hey, not me. You know, I didn't do that. No, that's the deep state, right? That's go talk to OSHA. Or go talk to LNI, or go talk to IRS, or any of the other three-letter alphabet soups in the federal government. You know, go talk to them. And so this allows them to essentially go into office and then go and get rich and shake hands. And it's this little exclusive club that, I mean, they don't talk about it. And many don't even know about it, but it's there. And if you're in it, you know it. And if you're not, then you don't. And this is the very rich, the very wealthy, and the very connected. But it's not all of them. Like Donald Trump is all those things, but Donald Trump is not part of this DC club. He was never supposed to come back. And they will go and they will take care of each other, and they will insulate each other, and they will protect each other from you, the American voters. And so that they work out their own little deals to how you wonder how like a senator or a House representative, how they make a couple $100,000 a year and all of a sudden they're worth millions of dollars. But it goes even beyond that because then they know that their family will be taken care of. As you have like USAID, you have NGOs, or you have these giant federal bureaucracies, and then you have all these adjacent appointments. So you have this person's cousin, this person's wife, this person's husband, this person's son or daughter. All of a sudden they have jobs inside this federal government. And then it helps control these senators, these House representatives, because they don't want to actually fight back. Because they have too much to risk to lose to the deep state. It was for the very longest time. It wasn't really until Trump came along when he went and he showed that you don't have to be afraid of these people, that we can fight back and we can win. Remember Chuck Schumer all the way back at the beginning of his, when Donald Trump first came in his first administration, it was Chuck Schumer who said that he thought that you should never go up against the intelligence agencies because they have 6 ways to Sunday of getting you. And there are many senators who are absolutely terrified of this. Okay, they really believe that the deep state, for example, can do something insane, like put kiddie porn on their computer and then kick down their door and arrest them. And this is a real fear of theirs. And so they don't want to fight. They don't want the problems. They just want to go and wear their fancy suits, have their shiny shoes, go into Congress, shake hands, and make deals, and then take half the year off. Our side of the aisle, the reason why you're seeing them lose so much is one, that they are Democrats themselves, but two, that they don't want to win. Our side, the Republican side, really does want to play second fiddle. They want the Democrats to have the House, they want the Democrats to have the Senate, and they want the Democrats to be the president. And then all they want to do is they want to have just a couple votes so that they can go and they can make deals with the Democrats for themselves. I mean, you ever wonder why, for example, like the federal government never gets smaller? Or even now, right? We have Donald Trump in the president who ran on draining the deep state, draining the swamp. And then you have Elon Musk and his Doge team. They are going through and they are showing all this federal waste. Yet who's fighting the hardest? Obviously, the Democrats would fight. Right, you expect that, but you have all these Republicans that are also fighting back and refusing to put America first and Donald Trump's administration as what he ran on to codify. And they keep delaying over and over and over again, where they're going to go on another vacation, or they got to put another subcommittee, or they got to make more meetings. This is really trying to run out the clock. And our side, the Republican side, they are far worse than the Democrat side. Because at least with the Democrats, you know who they are. But with the Republicans, they're supposed to be us. I mean, they go in front of cameras and they say all the right things. And then they go in and they do all the right stuff when they're in front of you. They go on MSNBC or CNN, right? And then they'll cower. But then all of a sudden they go into Congress and they vote against your will over and over again. Or people like Mike Johnson, one of his favorite tricks, and this is what the rhinos do all the time, is they will go in and say, oh yeah, we're going to get tough, right? We're going to fight for you. We're going to do a really good job. And they write a bill. They know they can't get passed. And then the Democrats say, no, we're not doing it. And then Mike Johnson was, oh, okay. I'm sorry, I tried. We did our best, but you know, we have to pass the law, right? We can't shut down the government. So we're just going to give the Democrats everything they want, and we're going to get nothing in return. Okay, this is all by design. And this is all comes from their fear that they're more afraid of the deep state than they are afraid of you. So this is our opportunity, the once in a generation chance to take this power back from them. Otherwise, this corruption will continue to get worse because the more that they get away with this, the worse and worse the corruption will get. As you have people who are apparently signing Joe Biden's executive orders, or you have people apparently like Pocahontas who allegedly signed the Jan 6 pardons, and that Biden didn't even know, for example, about all the climate activism that's going on from the woke radical left. This will continue to get worse if we don't stop it. Just like any criminal, right? They usually start small, and then as they get away with more and more and more, their crimes continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Starts off usually with really minor misdemeanors, and then goes up to felonies, and then serious felonies, until they're finally either change their lives around, or most of them finally get put in prison. These government gangsters are no different, right? If they think that they can go and they can steal your tax dollars over and over and over again and get away with it, they're going to do nothing else, and then they're just going to steal more and more because they thought that they could never get caught. I mean, they literally rented out stadiums to go party in, like $1 million stadiums, wasting your tax dollars to just go party. And you're footing the bill for this crap. They're using credit cards to go out to casinos, go out to dinners, go out to trips. See, they don't think they can get caught with any of this. And that's just scratching the surface. That's not even getting into like the NGOs and how they're pushing all this leftist progressive ideology that doesn't need to be done, and then hiring all these career useless people and wasting all of your tax dollars on it. Whereas if you knew, you would never go for any of this stuff. This is your opportunity to see the deep state, this beast from the abyss that no one has ever been able to see this clearly before. I mean, it's just a couple decades ago, if you even tried to talk about it, people would just think you're nuts. But now most people are like, yeah, I get it. But what can we do about it? This is what we can do. You have to get active and you have to vote. That's the only way we stop this. These rhinos need to know that if they don't implement Trump's terms, that what he wants in his agenda that close to 80 million of you voted for, then we're going to kick every single one of them out of office. We're going to, the 30-year reign of the neocons is coming to an end. The rhinosaurs, the Mitch McConnells of the world, they're going to be over. And we're just getting started. We're just identifying. We have some huge ones like Cornyn's probably going to lose. Hopefully we can get rid of Jimmy Graham if we can find somebody to run against him. But there's many, many others. You can just start naming them. And with that, I'm, of course, way over a break again, as usual. So we're going to come back here in a few more minutes, see what do we have next. We have the judges. They're continuing to try to go against their coup against Donald Trump. But Donald Trump had a huge win in the courts today. We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more after this brief, greedy profit break. This is the Cash Loren Show. StreamYard is the all-in-one solution towards streaming video online across multiple platforms. It is the same program that I use to host and produce this show every single day, both live streaming across multiple platforms, as well as doing pre-recorded videos to put up, whether it be a YouTube, X, or anywhere else on the internet. If you are looking for a host for your live streams, look no further. Click on the link below and sign up for StreamYard today. You will not regret it. It is both user-friendly for beginners, easy to understand, and has lots of tools built inside it. Don't wait. Click on the link below and sign up for StreamYard today. Ex-creators, are you tired of spinning your wheels, posting over and over again, yet you seem to gain no traction and no growth? We have a solution called the 𝕏 Accelerator. This is what I use to grow my account from 0 to now over 25,000 followers and counting. This program will teach you how the algorithm works and how to maximize your time with third-party tools to 10x your growth. I purchased it and I'm glad I did, and you will be too. Click on the link below and you will not only be for your benefit gaining the 𝕏 Accelerator course, but you will also be helping the show by a small percentage being donated back here. So click on the link below, sign up for the 𝕏 Accelerator today. I am glad I did, and I know that you will too. If you are watching this show, then you are probably sick and tired of the corporate media we call fake news lying to you every single day. You are not alone. This has caused many citizen journalism, as much as I hate to say the J word, that's really what we're doing, is exposing the fake news networks and the corrupt government every day without the filter of the corporate media deciding what you can and cannot know. Many of us make these videos with the extra room that we have in our houses, just like I am here in our spare bedroom. But making these is not free. We have families to feed as well. If you are enjoying this content, then it will always be free, and I thank you for your support. But if you want to help monetarily, there is a great way to do that on Locals. Click on the link below, sign up for our different tiered programs, and we will have additional content for you based on the level that you sign up for, including being thanked in the end of videos every single day. Take a moment, if you enjoy this content, and sign up for the monetary support and help us stay on air and offer you more benefits, such as more shows and better production. So sign up for today at Locals and support the citizen journalisms and help us get past the fake news networks. Well, the judicial coup against Donald Trump and his administration is continuing to heat up as more and more of these activist judges are trying to usurp Donald Trump's authority. Before we went to break, we had a comment come in where they said this is something like the House of Dragons, and they were referring to the Game of Thrones, the Song of Ice and Fire series by George R.R. Martin. And I asked them what they're talking about. They came back and they said basically the king was sick and the queen was sitting on the council, which was correct. I believe that in the show it was the end of season 1 that they're talking about, where I'm trying to remember her name, but the Greens essentially took over the council, and then once the king died, and then usurped blacks and caused a whole dragon fight. But essentially, this is a good parallel to what we think essentially was happening in the Biden administration. That's a very insightful comment. Is that essentially Biden was brain dead, not there. And then whoever was actually running the government, more will be revealed. But does anyone think it was Joe Biden? I mean, is there one person that can honestly say that they think that the president of the United States was acting as the president of the United States? I certainly don't think so. I don't think anyone can honestly say that one single bit. Just checking things. Okay. Oh, this judicial coup, this continues to try to usurp Donald Trump's executive authority, as we have separations of power in the United States of America. So we have Donald Trump as the executor, and he has exclusive authority to run the federal government. And then you have Congress, their exclusive authority to write laws. And then finally, you have the judicial, who has exclusive authority over making individual rulings. Okay, but to understand that the separation of powers that the Democrats lie about is that the judicial is not a check on the executive branch. Meaning they can't just injunct anything that Donald Trump does. Or if they could do that, if our Constitution was written that way, then why would you even have a president? It would just all go through the court system. Donald Trump has exclusive authority, and he is the only one in the federal government that every single American citizen has the right to vote for. Every other one is either done by state or are done like by the House in your area. But he's the only one the entire United States votes on. And this gives him exclusive authority over our federal government, such as foreign policy, such as tariffs, such as managing the money that Congress appropriates. This is all exclusive to Donald Trump's second, the Constitution of his clause on the second part. Now these judges are trying to usurp that by writing law from the bench. And something that's really always amazed me about the Democrats is how good they are at picking judges. It seems like really they never miss on missing, like picking the most just radical, insane, leftist lunatic that is happy to do anything to push the Democrats' propaganda for them, or write law from the bench, which again they don't have authority to do. Even all the way up to SCOTUS, okay, even the highest court in the land, SCOTUS, can't write the Constitution from the bench. They're there to interpret it and they're there to rule on it, but they can't actually just write the Constitution any more than these judges or prosecutors can write law from their bench. And they have no authority to stop Donald Trump from deporting. They have no authority to stop Donald Trump's tariffs. They have no authority to stop him from firing employees. They have no authority to tell Donald Trump that he has to spend money. And all that is exclusive to Donald Trump and Donald Trump only. And he had a huge win today, finally, against these executives, with his executive authority, against these activist Democrats who are cosplaying as judges. So back in February, when the activist judges, they went and they tried to block Donald Trump from going and looking at the Department of Treasury. And essentially what they were trying to say is that this was a privacy act. And then you have 19 Democrat AGs like Letitia James running this, that they were accusing that this was somehow some kind of data breach. The one thing, if the Democrats' mouths are moving, they are lying. Because they can't tell you what they're really upset about. What they're really upset about is that you will learn what was happening in the Department of Transportation. For example, they have over $5 trillion that went out the door, and they don't know where it went because there was no records. Or you have all these, like the Pentagon, who fails audit after audit, and then what do? They just adjust the book and they move on. The money's never found. No one's ever fired. Nobody ever goes to prison. So as this continues and as this gets worse, then as they get more bold, the numbers just get bigger. Right? We talked about crime earlier. Still $1, still 10, still 100, still 1,000, still a million. They will just continue to get more and more and more aggressive. And so this is really, in my opinion, is that they are trying now to hide the corruption in the waste. They don't want you to know how all these people get so rich and where your tax dollars are going. When the federal government, when they have $5 trillion come in, and then they have $7 trillion go out, where does all this money go? You're never supposed to know the answer to that question. And this is why they're fighting Donald Trump so hard with like over 150 Democrat lawsuits. Did you know that? I didn't know there were so many, even as much as I track this every day. There's over 150 lawsuits right now with these Democrat AGs and these Democrat lawyers going after Donald Trump's administration, trying to call this a constitutional crisis. What's funny about the Democrats and their constitutional crisis is it's always them. Right? It seems like every hoax that they come up with is something that they're guilty of. Now we just had ruling when the show was going live that the U.S. Court of International Trade just blocked Donald Trump's, what they call his Liberation Day of tariffs. So this authority, it belongs to Congress. Okay, let me be very clear about this. That is completely made up, doesn't exist. This is a judge sitting on a bench that nobody ever voted for, trying to usurp the power of Donald Trump as your president. Okay, he has the exclusive rights. And this is why people like Ron Paul, those rhinos, were trying to fight so hard to take that away from him. But when all that failed, you remember when like Rand Paul, when he tried to stab Donald Trump in the back, and he said he had the votes in the Senate to take the tariffs away from Trump. And even if he had been successful, it still had to go to the House, never gone anywhere. And then Trump would have just vetoed it in the first place. And then after all that, they never would have had the votes to override his veto. But our side, unfortunately, too many want to lose. They want the government to get bigger. They want more and more, take more and more of your tax dollars away. They want no tariffs. They want America to be last. And it's just this psychology in them where they've convinced themselves that America is somehow bad and that America is evil and that America has done all these awful, awful things. And now America needs to pay for its sins. Right? There's blood on our hands and you can never wash it off. And to make up for this alleged crimes, you then have to give these unelected bureaucrats and these senators all this authority so they can decide how to make it right. When in reality, they're the ones that are making it far worse. But why they do that, they themselves gain more power, gain more fame, and gain more wealth sitting in government. It's not service, it's money laundering. This is why you have like the people that pretend to be conservatives, like Rand Paul, or people that pretend to be more like libertarian, like Macy. These are nothing more than neoliberal Democrats. That's all they are. There is nothing conservative or Republican about any of them. You remember when Pete Hegseth, when he got put in as a charge of the military? And then what did the leader of our party do? Mitch McConnell? He went and he walked over to the Democrats and apologized that Donald Trump's administration got what you voted for. And that's how much these people hate us. And our side, unfortunately, is far worse than the Democrats. Because at least the Democrats, you know who they are. You have the Chuck Schumers, and you have the Hakeem Jeffries, and you have the AOCs and the Bernie Sanders. Okay, they tell you who they are. But the Republicans, they are far worse because they will lie to your face. They will go and they will go in front of cameras and they'll pretend that they're tough on crime, or they'll pretend that they're fighting for conservative values. And then they go into Congress and they stab you in the back over and over and over. It never stops. These rhinos and these uniparty, you're finally seeing it, what they actually are. And yeah, people like MSNBC, who's more in the bag for the Democrats, where it'll be like CNN, ABC, NBC, New York Times, LA Times, Washington Post, Political Axios. Every single one of them are Team Democrat. They are all in the bag for the DNC. And they call this, of course, an attack on privacy. You see how they just make up words? Because attack on whose privacy? And they try to lie and say, keep your hands off our paychecks. But really what they're saying is keep your hands off our money laundering, off the corruption, and off the crime. You're below them. You don't go to Harvard. You don't go to Ivy League degrees. You don't go to Yale, right? You're not part of this establishment. You're not part of this DC blob. You're too dumb. In their mind, they think that you are stupid. And they think they are better than you, and they think they are smarter than you, and they think that they are born to rule. Never, ever for a second doubt that for a single moment, because that's exactly how all of them, every single one feels. And they just think that you're below them. And they shouldn't have to even justify themselves to you. Why do they even have to have elections? I mean, this stuff is way too important. This is about social justice. And this is about equity. And this is about making America pay for being so evil and being good and being the superpower for far too long. It's somebody else's turn. So we have to bring America down to its knees and make it pay for all the crimes of the past. And then so conveniently, when they're making up all this stuff, they then, of course, get more power, more wealth. It works out great for them and bad for you. And these rhinos are more than happy to do it. Doge, they say that they can save $2 trillion. I think it can go much higher than that. I mean, we're bringing in $5 trillion and $7 trillion going out. $2 trillion is just making the books even. I think they go much, much higher. At the end of the day, Donald Trump's executive privilege is going to win. These injunctions are going to lose. The Democrats know it. These judges know it. They're just trying to delay for as long as they can. because they're hoping to run out the clock on the Trump administration so he can't do anything meaningful. And then once that clock runs out, then the deep state can come roaring right back. This is why we're all so important. You, the independent thinkers, because you have to get out, you have to talk to people, and you have to vote. Donald Trump proved it. Charlie Kirk proved it. Others prove it. If we fight back, we win. It really is that simple. That's why they slander you. That's why they call you a racist or a bigot or a homophobe or a transphobe, white nationalist or extreme MAGA Republican. They don't believe or care about any of that stuff. All they care about is trying to get you to shut up so you won't fight back, so they can continue to rip you off. That at the end of the day, that's what the name of this game is. Giving them more power and more wealth. It's all it is. It really is just simple human nature. Unfortunately, over and over and over again, the people that should never have power, they somehow find their way into power. And we have a once-in-a-generation chance to take our country back. But we have to support Donald Trump, and we have to put so much pressure on these rhinos, because the only way we can get them to vote the way we want is if they truly believe we will end their career. If they think that they can just lie to you and go right back in the office and stab you in the back over and over again, then the 100%, that's what they will keep doing, just like the neocons have been doing for the last 30 years. And my clock is flashing at me angry. So we're going to have to go, and we're going to have to take this greedy profit break. Then we come back, we have a whole lot to talk about, including, as we're talking about Doge, as they have been going and they have saved millions of dollars. They're just getting started. We have that to cover, a whole lot more, including Charlie Kirk and his team with President Trump to help bring the younger generation over to our conservative movement. So we'll be right back after this greedy profit break. This is the Cash Loren Show. StreamYard is the all-in-one solution towards streaming video online across multiple platforms. It is the same program that I use to host and produce this show every single day, both live streaming across multiple platforms, as well as doing pre-recorded videos to put up, whether it be a YouTube, X, or anywhere else on the internet. If you are looking for a host for your live streams, look no further. Click on the link below and sign up for StreamYard today. You will not regret it. It is both user-friendly for beginners, easy to understand, and has lots of tools built inside it. Don't wait. Click on the link below and sign up for StreamYard today. Creators, are you tired of spinning your wheels, posting over and over again, yet you seem to gain no traction and no growth? We have a solution called the Accelerator. This is what I use to grow my account from 0 to now over 25,000 followers and counting. This program will teach you how the algorithm works and how to maximize your time with third-party tools to 10x your growth. I purchased it and I'm glad I did, and you will be too. Click on the link below and you will not only be for your benefit gaining the Accelerator course, but you will also be helping the show by a small percentage being donated back here. So click on the link below, sign up for the Accelerator today. I am glad I did, and I know that you will too. If you are watching this show, then you are probably sick and tired of the corporate media we call fake news lying to you every single day. You are not alone. This has caused many citizen journalism, as much as I hate to say the J word, that's really what we're doing, is exposing the fake news networks and the corrupt government every day without the filter of the corporate media deciding what you can and cannot know. Many of us make these videos with the extra room that we have in our houses, just like I am here in our spare bedroom. But making these is not free. We have families to feed as well. If you are enjoying this content, then it will always be free, and I thank you for your support. But if you want to help monetarily, there is a great way to do that on Locals. click on the link below, sign up for our different tiered programs, and we will have additional content for you based on the level that you sign up for, including being thanked in the end of videos every single day. Take a moment if you enjoy this content and sign up for the monetary support and help us stay on air and offer you more benefits such as more shows and better production. So sign up for today at Locals and support the citizen journalisms and help us get past the fake news networks. We have a lot of covering today. Let me get my computer out of the way. We have a lot that we are going on today, including that the Democrats, their party is in one hand collapsing, and yet on the other side, these activist judges are still trying to stand in the way of Donald Trump's administration through usurping his executive authority. But really what they're not usurping Trump's authority. I mean, they are, but more what they're really usurping and trying to take away is your vote. As a deep state, they think it's their right to rule over you, as they are better, as they are smarter, as they are wiser. And you should just pay your taxes and shut up, you pleb. Well, enough is enough. And finally, we fought back and we won. The one thing they thought could never happen was Donald Trump coming back and being the executor of the federal government. And as part of everything that he promised to do was draining this deep state. One of the persons that they never wanted to be in charge of the military, because the military, the industrial complex, understand this, the military, the industrial complex, this is the main way that they push liberalism and activism and all their other little isms. It's all done through the State Department, the Department of Defense. And they never wanted somebody like Pete Hegseth to come back in and actually expose and drain it, which is exactly what he's doing. As he worked with Doge, and they're saying they overcut over $10 million from all this waste. Of course, the rhinos and their parties, their uniparties, these are the Republicans who pretend to be conservatives, who pretend to be one of us, who sit in front of a camera and they say all the right things, but really they are neoliberal Democrats. And you can always tell by their actions. When they will go in and they will pretend that they're doing the right thing, they'll talk tough in front of a camera, or they'll do really good posts, and you think, hey, I agree with this. Right, that's exactly what we want. And then what do they do right after that? They then go in and they just backstab you over and over and over again. I mean, how many of you are sick and tired of these same so-called conservatives doing that over and over and over again? I mean, we're supposed to drain the federal government. Okay, that's what you, the American people, voted for. And now these senators in these houses, when they're on the Republican side, they should be working towards that goal with Donald Trump, not fighting against him at every single step of the way. Rhinos like Rand Paul, who don't want to do these cuts, who want to sit there and do line by line by line. These same rhinos have no problem when Nancy Pelosi puts $3 trillion on the desk and they just sign off on it. But all of a sudden, Donald Trump wants to cut $10 million, and now it's got to be line by line by line. This is absolutely hogwash. This is nonsense. They know it. Everybody knows it. They just are trying to delay as much as they can. These rhinos are far worse than Democrats. And at least now we can expose them and then hopefully end as many of their careers as they can. Because I think we're seeing the end of the 30-year rule of the neocons over the Republican Party. There's this fake opposition that, they pretend to be Republicans, but really they're all Democrats. They're all in this together. And that's why you see, for example, that the federal government never drains. I mean, when's the last time you saw the government spend less money? Or when's the last time you saw the government cut regulations? When's the last time you saw the government get smaller? It wasn't until Trump came along, even when our side was in office. I remember like the Bushes and Cheneys for 8 years. But what happened when you look back at them? The federal government grew. and it gained more power over you. In fact, the Bushes and the Cheneys, they may have expanded the federal government more than Obama did. You may have to go back and think about that a little bit more, but it's possible. I'll do that for another episode. I might keep that in the back notes. But they didn't do anything conservative at the end of the day. And the one thing that this uniparty has always been scared of is an actual billionaire populace, a Donald Trump who will come into office and do everything that you voted to do. They're supposed to lie to you like the rhinos do, but actually go in and just do the opposite. They never thought that Trump could come back, and now they did. They're trying to do everything they can to obstruct him. The Dems, of course, will call this overreach. But how do they justify that? I mean, how is this overreach? If you, the American people, voted for Donald Trump to do everything that he campaigned on, and then he goes into office and he does everything he campaigned on, okay, how is that overreach? Can anybody explain that? As they're saying that what they don't ever want you to know, what Pete Hegseth and Doge is starting to expose, what they're really trying to cover up, is that they found already as a $1.76 billion, with a B, $billion bloated through things like IT, through these DEI programs, and then all these climate initiatives, right? All the leftist little pet projects that are very expensive, and then give all their career useless people jobs that pay them way too much to do nothing but harm the United States. When your tax dollars, when you cut all this stuff, should be going to things like the border wall. Things that actually help the United States. Put this money towards deporting every single illegal immigrant in this country. Well, I don't know if you saw this one today, but Donald Trump, he had gone through back in February, I think it was, where he had changed Title IX, because the Biden administration, they tried to change women's protection. This is Title IX to include, women, meaning anybody that identifies as a woman, biological males. And now Donald Trump changed it back to what it should be, because we must protect women's rights in sports. And now you have in California, you have this biological male that is dominating women and is now about to go on to the state championship and probably take these away from women. Okay, these are the type of fights that we need to fight. And Trump is saying that he is going to, hopefully he'll take away his tax dollars. I guess he's considering it. But we didn't vote for Trump to lay over now. We didn't go through all this to stop now. And one of the things I think that really shocked the Democrats was not just that virtually every single demographic, except I think black women, went over to Donald Trump's side of the aisle. Not just that, but especially in the youth group. Youth, as they had always considered themselves, that the Democrats have the right to the youth vote. Yet by large numbers, they went over to Donald Trump's side. And this is a large part and thanks to Charlie Kirk.
I think we'll be able to save TikTok. I'd like to save TikTok. I mean, TikTok was very good to me. I won the young people by 37%. No Republicans ever won, and I won by 37%. And Charlie Kirk will tell you TikTok helped. But Charlie Kirk helped also. He just happens to be here. Look at it. He loves that we mentioned that name, right, Charlie? He's done great, and I appreciate all the help. But with young people, we won by 37%, Charlie, and you helped. But TikTok was amazing. And he was the first one. He said, get on TikTok. So I have a little bit of a warm spot. I know I shouldn't. They'll say quid pro quo, put him in jail for the rest of his life, quid pro quo. No. TikTok was very good to me. I won young people. I don't know if it was because of TikTok, but it was something happened. No Republican has ever won they call them young people. Young people, you can define it a lot of different ways, but I won every age group in young people. And it never happened, and won by 37%. That's a lot. Yeah.
I can't tell you how big of a deal this is. The Democrats have always relied on the young vote, on miserable women, and on weak, pathetic men. These white boys for Kamala, soy boy, weak beta males. The Pete Buttigieg of the world, who thinks he's going to be a rough and tough man now because he grew a beard. At the same time, he's putting on plastic breasts to fake breastfeed a poor baby. This is what we're fighting against. It's no wonder they're losing, right? In all of Charlie Kirk's work, we can never thank him enough, because one of the things you may not know about Charlie Kirk, he was very young. He had no connections. He had no money. He had nothing but just a drive that he believed, something that many people never believed, even all the way up to this election. He believed that there was a lot of young conservatives out there, and they just needed to be messaged to. Something that Democrats and the left has gotten away with for a very long time is they basically owned all the mainstream media. Well, not basically, they have. And so all the mainstream media, they'd all talk the same talking points all the time. And so while most of the country thought the way that you do, many people didn't even know it. Because you'd go home, you turn on MSNBC, CNN, ABC, any of the ones that you would turn on, and they'd all be talking the exact same thing. So many people would think, well, maybe I'm the oddball. Maybe I'm weird for believing in American exceptionalism. Maybe I'm weird for thinking that America's not racist. Maybe I'm weird for believing in our Lord Savior, Jesus Christ. But you're not weird. You're red-blooded Americans. You are actually the majority. And many just didn't know it because they had no real way to group up together. And all the way back from when I was a kid to way longer than that, but the Democrats always thought that they could, that one, young people never voted, but two, the ones that did vote should vote Democrat. And so they'd all do the things like to get the youth out to votes and all their little hoaxes to try to get them to vote Democrat, but they would never vote. And so the Democrats just kind of, Well, then came Charlie Kirk, and he gave them purpose. All the way back to where he would go in colleges and nobody would show up. Or a huge rally would be 5 people. It's hard to think about that now when you see how successful Turning Point USA has been. But that was all real. Okay, he started from zero. And it's inspirational for people like me because I'm also starting from zero. Nowhere near the success that Kirk has had yet, but essentially the same thing in my own house, but this is a spare bedroom, right? No money, no experience, no background. I don't know any politicians, no connections. Well, until I started this and started to meet some people, but I knew no one, knew nothing about this. And so people like Kirk is such an inspiration to see people start from zero and then build that giant of a movement. And he did the one thing that everyone thought was impossible to do. He actually got the young votes to go out and vote, and not just vote, but vote conservative. It was a huge part of Donald Trump winning. And now the Democrats, they have a bigger problem than they've ever had before. Because not only are they bleeding voters, but they're so wrapped up in the way of things that used to work that they still think they can lie every day and they can rely on fake news. Even with the beating that they took in 2024, they still refuse to learn any lessons from any of that. And if these young people, now that are voting conservative, they're going to continue to grow up and they're going to get more active. Okay, this movement's not going to get smaller. This movement's going to get bigger. And people like Charlie Kirk is young. And as he recruits more and more young, brave patriots to go out to these colleges, to go talk to these young people, to go out to places like high schools, we're just getting started. Most generations, they never ever have this opportunity. Not once. Usually, a superpower, right? They start from nothing, And then the state, the government, whatever it is, they grow up and they get huge and they become a superpower. But then usually what happens is they don't collapse from the outside. They usually collapse from the inside. And it's almost always from corruption. And that's exactly what you're seeing happen in the United States. As the federal government gets bigger, as they tax more and more of your money, and as it becomes more and more regulations, and then your elected officials give up their power to these unelected officials that should have no authority over your life. Yeah, I don't know if the federal government even knows how many agencies it has anymore. And like every time I look up that number, it's a different number. Is it 400? Is it 600? Often they'll say, we don't know. But we need to find that out. Because we used to have a federal government. We used to know how many it was. It used to be 4 agencies, and that was it. I say fire 80 or 90% of the federal government and bring manufacturing back to this country. And tell every one of these crooked activist judges to go pound sand. We didn't come this far not to fight. We have to get active. You have to talk to people, and you have to vote. And if you do all that, we will win and we will save our country. We'll do the one thing that everybody thought was impossible. We'll take our country back. And with that, I'm out of time. The rest of these stories are going to have to go back in the stack. We'll be back again tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern. This is the Cash Loren Show. God bless the USA. Greetings, independent thinkers. We have come to a top of another hour. If you're enjoying this content, please make sure you have subscribed, turn on notifications, but most importantly, share an American First message with your friends and family so we can help fight back against the Democrats and their propagandists over at the fake news networks. Also, take a moment to consider subscribing to us on Locals at the Cash Loren Show, where for a very small amount of money every month, you'll get many additional perks, including your name at the end of videos, like it'll be up the screen here in just a moment, a follow and increased engagement and exclusive lists on that I use on X. That sounds interesting to you. Go over to locals.com at the Cash Loren Show, hit the subscribe button for about a cup of coffee a month, and help us stay independent and free of the fake news networks and bring you the truth every single day, just like these fine patriots have. At the end of the video, be on your screen here in just a moment.